It wasn't pretty and it wasn't perfect, but you know what it was? A win over Duke on senior night at homecoming to keep hopes alive. We will take it. Oh, what was that? What's that sound I hear? Oh, ring that bell.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Saturday late night, well, technically it's Sunday, November 12th by this point. We needed an emergency reaction pod following Carolina's double overtime victory over Duke, 47-45. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to welcome you in. Let's all check our pulses. Have you calmed down yet? I have not. It's the immediate aftermath of the game, and we're trying to figure out what on earth just happened. Welcome into you everydayers who you're always joining us. If you're a guest, we're so glad you're here. Folks, it's great to be together. The Locked On Tar Heels Discord was going crazy during this thing. If you're not part of it, you gotta come join it. Be in community with us. The links are in the show notes, audio and video. What just happened? I am 39 years old, but I think I'm going to be 66 when I wake up tomorrow. I got some gray hairs in my beard already. I think I just turned white during this game. Listen, this victory over Duke does not bring back the loss to Virginia or does not bring back the loss to Georgia Tech, but it does go a long way and is the first step in reclaiming how we feel about this season. Despite the fact that, as I said in the cold open, this was not a perfect or ideal win, but it is a win. And guess what? When you look at the record book 5 years from now, it's going to say win and it's going to say 5 straight wins against Duke. We will take it. So that is a big deal. To pull this out under these circumstances, you got to love it. But at the same time, it didn't have to be that way, right? Carolina really shot themselves in the foot in multiple ways on Saturday night and on multiple occasions. It just continues to be a theme of this season, and honestly going back to last season, that Carolina just can't get out of their own way, can't put away a team. Let me give you a couple ways in which Carolina could have helped my heart and probably your heart and not frustrated your cardiologist on Saturday night. The biggest thing for me was the special teams issues. There were at least 3 main critical ones that happened. There was the kickoff snafu where there was a fair catch. It was dropped, recovered, stepped into the end zone. Carolina had to start on their own 1-yard line. The first play from scrimmage, interception. There you go. Big issue there. Next one. How about that Duke fake punt that they converted for a first down? Now, I think they still ended up having to punt on that drive, if I remember correctly. But still, the fact that that happens, Mike Elko's trying to steal possessions. You have to be on such high alert at all times. Now, to be fair, perhaps that play should never have happened to start with, because that was the play immediately after the play they ruled an incomplete pass where it kind of could have been called a fumble that came in record cause. You remember that? That was immediately the play preceding the fake punt. So we'll say whatever. And the onside kick right after Duke scores, they get that onside kick and are in position to score it, like stealing possessions. Carolina wasn't ready for those. And special teams have been a bit of an issue in a multitude of ways this season. It showed its ugly head again, at least in those 3 ways on Saturday night. And so there are several ways in which you could say Mike Elko was probably the better of the coaches in this game. I mean, there was a big decision he made at the beginning of the first overtime that I thought helped Carolina. He tried to get cute, and he didn't need to. They'd been running so well. But outside of that, I thought he called a great game. There were some interesting, questionable decisions on the Carolina side of the coaching, but is what it is. Another thing that could have helped my heart and probably yours more tonight as well was Carolina's inability to put the ball in the end zone. And it was weird because the first drive of the game was like clockwork. Carolina picked up a couple third downs, big chunk play to Tez. I think after that, there was a nice completion to, forgive me, maybe Nesbit. I don't remember who it was. And then Drake had that nice fake to Omarion and just walked into the end zone. You loved it. But then after that, the next 5 drives, field goal, interception, field goal, field goal. So whereas it could have been at one point 21-0, it was just 13-0. And then Duke ended up taking a 14-13 lead. Whereas it could have been 28-14 at one point, it was like 19-14. Carolina's just leaving points on the board, and it came back to bite them. You got to be able to get the ball in the end zone there. You got to find better ways to do that. Now, that said, Carolina was perfect in the red zone, 9 of 9. It's just that more of them than you want were 3 instead of 6. The other big questionable thing that could have helped my heart tonight was Carolina has a 4-point lead. Minute or so left in the game, 4th and 7. Carolina calls the timeout, which I thought was curious. Instead of Duke, Duke was just going to play it out. And I think Carolina outthought themselves. They brought the house, which is great if you get home, but they didn't. They brought 7 and left everyone else man to man on the outside. Got burned. Why? You got a freshman quarterback. Listen, Loftus threw some good balls. I'll give him that. But leave your safeties in coverage and keep everything in front of you. Make him make a difficult throw against a defense that he doesn't know what it's going to be. Now, am I saying the same things if Carolina gets home, sacks him, and the game's over, or forces a difficult throw? Maybe so. Maybe then I'm like, oh, all right, good call. But I'd like to think that I wouldn't have been. I was like, Carolina got lucky there, but there you go. So that's several ways Carolina could have helped my heart. Okay, enough belly aching. Let's celebrate this thing, please. Can we? Yes. Okay. Number 1, let's talk about 2 dudes. We'll take a little break and then talk about some more stuff. Drake Maye, Mr. Houdini, right? Let's start with that last drive. After Duke scores that touchdown, 41 seconds left. Drake Maye's got 2 timeouts, 41 seconds, and 75 yards for a touchdown or however much to get into field goal range. He did a great job orchestrating that drive, getting Carolina where they needed to be. His receivers made just enough plays to do it. And of course, credit to Noah Burnette for we've been talking about Carolina has to have somebody that can make a big field goal at the right time. And as they said on the broadcast, that was the exact same end zone where he missed the kick last year against NC State. Congrats, Noah Burnette. That's awesome. Love to see it. But Drake Maye, that play to get J.J. Jones the ball to get a first down, I think it was a 4th down where he had to scramble, get out. Did he bootleg on it as he was getting rid of it? Yeah, I mean, he at least flipped around, and then he was getting brought down, Drake Maye, and somehow sees J.J. Jones scampering out to his right, gets it. Not only does J.J. get it, he's able to get enough yards after catch for the first down. Ridiculous stuff. The wherewithal, there was that call. I think this was a 3rd and 2. It was a designed run for Drake. He gets bottled up by like 3 or 4 Duke guys. And before he's taken down, though, he sees Omarion streaking past his left. Just a little pitch. Nobody's there. It's a good play. And Omarion picks up the first down. The first drive of the game, first 3rd down, Carolina would hit their first 3 third downs, converted them. 3rd and 4. Poor British Brooks just whiffed in pass pro. Drake is going down and sees Bryson Nesbit and is able to hit. I mean, he just had multiple of those plays. And so for me with Drake, yes, it's the skills. Yes, it's the talent. But the wherewithal to be able to not only see those junk plays and make them is the most frustrating thing for every defense mankind has ever known. And Drake's out here just carving it up, doing work. Now, sometimes because of that, you got to live with him getting a shoestring tackled as he's trying to escape or something. Like, he's gonna have one of those every now and again. But the multitude of plays that he makes up for by getting it right, I think is worth one or two of the negative one. Now, there was the play where instead of throwing the ball away, just stepped out of bounds like 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That was absolutely a mental mistake. You can't do that. And in fact, that was literally the play right after the pitch to Omarion. So it's like, was it the pitch right after? It was really close to that. But then the next play after that, he picked up 4th and 9 to Tez. I mean, so just that's what you're going to get sometimes. It is what it is. There was a couple times in this game too, where with Drake's touch, where he underthrew Tez. Drake's got the arm to make every throw in the book. That might have just something to do more with putting too much air under it versus Tez's speed, because later he took a little air off of it and it was a little more of a rope. So there was some of that, but good grief. Drake Maye. Every NFL scouts are all over the field this night. You love to see it. All right. We got to sing the praises of Omarion Hampton too, because this dude just keeps on trucking everyone, carving it up. We want to hit that in just a second. We want to sing his praises too. But before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win, just like the Tar Heels did tonight. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's talk Omarion Hampton. This guy, one of my what to watch fors for this football game was, I think, something, this might even be verbatim. For the love of everything holy, don't forget about Omarion Hampton. And oh, by the way, get him the ball in the passing game. Chip Lindsey must have been listening to Friday's podcast, because he did exactly that, as did Drake. The first 2 offensive plays from scrimmage were passes to Omarion. Now, I don't think it was called, but that's where Drake went with it. You love it. It's his 5th straight game over 100 rushing yards, 6th total on the season, add in the App State game where he went wacky. He had a career-high 31 carries. My plea in don't forget about Omarion was, I said 20 to 25 carries, and Carolina eclipsed that. His previous career high was 29, got up to 31 for 169 yards on the ground. But in terms of me saying, hey, don't forget him through the air too, boy, did they not. His career high before this was 4 receptions. He had 8 in this game, and a lot of them were big-time plays. There could have been a 9th where there was just a missed shovel pass from Drake, but you'll take it. He entered the night, though, Omarion entered the night 4th in the nation in rush yards per game, and was 2nd in Power 5. And he eclipsed that, blowing away. So we'll see. I think it was at like 118.6 per game. And as I just said, had 169. So could vault up. We'll see where it is. And this is looking ahead to next week a little bit. But you think about what Clemson brings in. Carolina is going to have to be able to continue riding Omarion, spell him some with British Brooks when necessary, but just allow Omarion to just be punishing, which frees up Drake to have more space as well. All right, a couple other things we want to hit on, and then we'll get out of here. Listen, all the love to Drake and Omarion so far. Let's talk about Tez Walker. A career night for him, 162 receiving yards. His previous high, I think, was 155, if I remember what I looked up correctly. But 7 receptions for that. How about this? 3 receptions of over 40 yards for Tez. My goodness. And I thought he had the go-ahead touchdown late in the fourth quarter that Bryson Nesbit ultimately had, which was, oh my word. Tez should have had it like a couple plays before that. I think he would like to have that one back. But also, I think there was both holding and DPI on that play, either of which could have been flagged and weren't. But Tez, man, he's just special. Did draw a couple other flags, and so just doing it. But his counterpart, man, Bryson Nesbit, who was like questionable to play in this game, it just feels like sneakily, like it's not been this overt thing, but he is becoming more and more and more of an integral part of this passing offense, and it's insane, man. Some of the catches he had, some of the safety valves he was for Drake in this game, but in particular that touchdown I just talked about, the touch that Drake put on it, and then his ability to go up and get it and bring it in. Whoo, boy. And, there were a lot of scouts there. Obviously, mostly watching Drake, but my man Bryson Nesbit, he might have made himself some money tonight. Now, speaking of Bryson Nesbit, another thing I want to touch on is Carolina was lucky on a couple calls. That Bryson Nesbit catch where, Duke ended up with the ball. I don't know how or why they didn't review that play. Quite frankly, I'm very glad they didn't, because I think that might have gotten overturned. It was very close. Now, hopefully, it's a not enough video evidence, the play stands kind of call, but it really looked to me on the few replays we got that the ball was either coming loose or the Duke player had control of it before Nesbit touched the ground. So I don't know how that didn't get whistled dead, but I'm very thankful. Another one, the 2-point conversion that won the game. Did you see offensive lineman Willie Lampkin in the end zone, like halfway deep into the end zone? Completely should have been flagged for ineligible downfield. And as soon as the play happened, like he knew it. If you go back and watch that play, it's like he's a short guy anyway, but he like hunkers down to where you can't see him. He's like trying to hide from the refs because he knew. And they missed it. We'll take it though. We will take it. You know why? Because there have been all these holding calls that have gone against Carolina at integral moments this year. And so thank goodness, finally, we got a couple breaks. But also, we didn't get a couple others. There was another hold on a touchdown that got called back. So there were some that I thought were iffy in Duke's favor as well. But I think Mike Elko had some arguments as well on this night that should stand. Speaking of penalties, though, I know I just said that one wasn't flagged and maybe should have been the Lampkin play, but Carolina only had 3 accepted penalties. There were 5 total, but 3 accepted, which ties the lowest of the season for only 20 yards. There was that one holding and then 2 other 5-yard penalties. So that 20 yards is the least penalized Carolina's been all year. That was another one of my what to watch for is Carolina has to stop getting these penalties. Thankfully, they did. Now, last thing I want to touch on before we get out of here, and then obviously we'll have our longer, fuller show on Monday where we'll talk a lot of basketball. We'll hit on this and then get you ready for the week. But Carolina's offense as a whole continues to hum. This was my big matchup to watch. When I said, here's my matchup to watch, it was the Carolina O, which is 3rd in the nation coming in total offense, against the Duke defense, which was like 30th in the nation in total defense. A little bit behind Miami, but again, Carolina has shown the ability to still put up a crud ton of yards against great defenses. They're going to have to do that against Clemson, which is going to be, at least on paper, the best defense they've seen all year. But Carolina, 3rd straight game over 500 total yards. 5 of their last 6 games, they've been over 500 yards. The one they weren't, they hit 490. They've been over 500 in 7 of the 10 games this season. I mean, it's just insane stuff. They were really good again on 3rd down, 11 of 19. That's 58%. They were perfect on 4th down conversions, 2 of 2. And so they've scored over 30 points in every game but the Virginia game where they hit 27. They came into the game 3rd in the nation, as I said, in total offense per game, 518 average. They got 537 in this one, so it should go up a little more. And I loved we talked about needing to play complementary football. 195 yards on the ground, 342 in the air. And so I know there's a little bit of an inequity in yardage, but getting as many rushes as Carolina did was good, and I loved to see it. So, was it perfect? No. Was it awesome? Yes. Did years come off my life? 100%. Oh, Carolina beat Duke. You love to see it. Love to see it. Man, now we get to get ready for some basketball tomorrow. Remember, men at 2, women at 6. It's going to be great. Make sure you tune in for that. I want to thank you for joining me on this emergency reaction pod late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Once again, come join our Discord. Seriously, it's awesome. It's growing, and people are just having a great time chatting in there. Would love for you to be a part of it as well. You can email the show, lockedontarheels@gmail.com. We'd love it if you would go leave us a review anywhere you listen to podcasts. Talk about how much you love Locked On Tar Heels and why. It really does help grow the show. Speaking of which, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Smash the like button so we know you are here, and would love to hear your thoughts and comments on the game. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again on Monday, but until then, peace.